Hello YouTube and welcome to another video. So in today's video I wanted to share how I do my stretching and what principles I have in mind when I'm planning my stretching routine. First of all, I would like to highlight some of the benefits that I gain from stretching and the main reasons why I perform stretching on a regular basis. The main reason why I do stretching on a regular basis is to counter the feeling of tightness in my muscles. I personally feel much better both in training and in everyday life when I have the feeling of being flexible and not so tight and locked in. In addition to these feelings, studies also show that increasing flexibility can contribute to improvements in overall health, which speaks into the exact feeling that I'm looking for when I'm stretching. Some of the specific benefits worth mentioning could be an increase in balance and stability, improved posture, and increased physical performance. Flexibility can also reduce pain and inflammation. Next, I want to cover what muscle groups I focus on when I'm stretching. Generally, I do focus on stretching my entire body, but I primarily stretch my lower body because I do a lot more of lower body training. Because of my current Ironman training schedule, I do nearly train my legs every single day in some form. So because of that, my stretching routine is focused on building flexibility in my lower body. When that is said, I do also perform upper body stretching, but just not to the extent that I am in my lower body. So if we break down my stretching routine, I do static stretching 5 times a week. The reason I choose to do static stretching so frequently is because studies show that static stretching seems to be the most effective form of stretching for increasing long-term flexibility. These studies also determined that a 30-second hold is the minimum threshold for flexibility benefits for static stretching holds. They also determined that frequency is a key factor in the long-term flexibility improvements. To be more specific, they found that a minimum stretching frequency of 5 times per week with a total stretching time of 5 minutes per muscle group was optimal. So as you can probably see, my personal stretching routine is built up around these exact principles. I do 2 sets of 30-second holds for every muscle group I want to stretch. And I perform the routine 5 to 6 times a week depending on how busy I am. I focus a lot on the front and the back of my legs, my hips and my glutes. Besides this, I also do 3 sets of a more general upper body flexibility movement, which I incorporate in between the lower body stretches. As a little side note, the studies also showed that increasing intensity of a particular stretch is not equal to it being more effective. So when I'm stretching, I'm not so focused on how far I can get into the stretch, but more so on how much I can feel it in the particular muscle. So to move on from static stretching, which is where we hold a particular muscle in a stretch for a long period of time, I do also perform dynamic stretching, where I swing my limbs and use momentum to gain a stretch in the muscle. I find this to be a great way to warm up prior to my performance-based activities. I only use dynamic stretching as a warm-up routine, primarily before I go for a run. This routine is also focused on my lower body because I use it before I go for a run. But I do perform a bit of upper body dynamic stretching just to loosen up the shoulders before I work out. My dynamic stretching routine involves warming up the front and back muscles of my legs and my hips. The important thing to note with my dynamic stretching routine is that I do not hold any of the stretches. I just use momentum to activate the muscles and get my body ready to perform. So guys, I hope you found this video interesting and got some inspiration in your own training routine. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And besides that, I want to wish you all a great weekend. Take care.